So yeah, we'll just get straight into it. I'm very hungover. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the User Hectic Podcast with me, your host, Justin Freeburn. Today we have the well-established in the Northern Irish comedy scene, Darren Matthews. What would you describe yourself as?
First of all, I prefer to call it the North of Ireland, but that's neither here nor there. As we sit in Craigavon, I saw a signpost for Portadown. I was going to turn around. How would I describe myself? First time caller, long time listener. I don't know.
Oh, right.
I've been kicking around for ages. Yeah. But I also left for a long time. So.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Yes.
Did you take a bit of a hiatus then, or?
No, as in I took 8 years where I just left and travelled around the world. So
unreal.
That was more fun.
That's so much better than I thought.
Yeah, I did gigs as well, but
yeah. This is usually when people take a bit of that, they're like, "Oh, the fucking child." Like I couldn't, And you're like,
got her pregnant, didn't it?
It was depression then. Yeah. So, but a lot of see, Craigavon's weird. It's either complete Sinn Féin, up the Ra, all over the place. The curbs are green, white, and orange, or 5 feet from it is a no Irish seaboarder sign. So
it's one wrong turn.
It is. That's literally all it is. This street is very mixed. Luckily, I mean it's the most council estate looking place on the planet. But even when William came on, the first thing he said, he goes, "It's good to know you're one of 3 comedians that aren't a middle class wanker." And I was like,
"That's true."
I don't know how to take that, but
I'm the other 2.
Yeah. I know. Suppose what you're from Newry then, yeah?
Just outside a wee village called Bestbrook. So
Bestbrook, right?
Yeah, it's the leafy suburbs. I like to call it the Bel Air of Newry.
The Bel Air of Newry.
Because it's not. We actually have a massive heroin problem. But
that's your fucking Edinburgh French show name.
Exactly.
The Fresh Prince of Bestbrook.
The Bel Air of Newry. No, it's dead on. It's just a wee village. It's it's sort of it's you're beside the town or the city.
Yeah,
that's hilarious to me still. You're beside the town. You're sort of beside the village. There's the woods, the trees, and all that. Yeah. So it's the nice mix of everything where it's like a council estate right beside a forest.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is like Enid Blyton novel and also Shameless at the same time.
Yeah, 100%. This is we're the same here. Like we have a council estate. Beautiful lake.
Craigavon Lakes is unreal.
Yeah, there was my girlfriend's or gay best friend is don't know why I needed to establish that, but he
funding.
Literally yesterday she said fun exactly. We get a 10 grand fucking grant for this if we mention him in it. He sent her a photo yesterday, and he's from Ards. And he was just wandering around Craigavon Lakes, and he was like, "This place is beautiful." And I was like, "Someone got stabbed there." I was like, there's been multiple rapes around there, so it's crazy.
It's a great place for a crime, but also scenery.
I know, it's exactly where he took a photo. Years ago, Chico sent us a video where he was just just having a smoke of a joint, just sitting on a bin, and we were like, "What the hell's going on?" And he was just sending us this photo of him going, "This place is beautiful," and I was like, Chico smoked a joint there at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
it's not that nice, But
maybe it's the place to go on a summer's evening at 10:30 at night as the sun's going down and just bang some shrooms.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, this is unreal, only because no one else is here.
Exactly. I used to go for jogs around it when I was 18, and I stopped because on the way back one night there was a load of there's sort of a bridge that the cars can drive over, don't they? We call it, that's the subs we call it, and there was a load of shelves under there, and I was jogging back, and they chased me home, so they were running after me, and
literally trolls under the bridge,
literally 100%, yeah. I had to pay a toll to get through, and
you have to answer these questions 3.
Yeah, and you had to pay €2.
Yeah, fucking wizard wouldn't let me pass.
So I made the pointy ears and all as well. His name's Declan. But they chased me back up, and after I went, I'm not going for runs anymore. But then they built the gym after that, shortly after that, so it was kind of handy, but it's a weird place.
Hang on, what age are you now?
23.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
You're a child.
I look about 78. That's literally everywhere. Anytime. Again, even when William found out my age, he goes, "What age are you?" And I goes, 23, and he goes, "Fuck off." Dead silence. Paddy as well, when he found out my age, near shit a brick. He was like,
it's like I thought you were 34 with 4 kids.
Literally, it's the scariest shit ever.
I do, look, you don't have it worse. Dave Elliott used the phrase when he was commentating on the boxing. He used the phrase when I walked into the ring, almost 40.
Almost 40.
And I was like, that hurt. That really hurt.
He's almost 40.
I'm 37, but that hurt a lot.
I actually wanted to get
that hurt worse than my knees.
I know you've probably been talking about that flat out as well, but that fight was chaotic. Like
It was funny.
yeah, it was. It was again. I was saying I like Sean, but it's like deserved.
It was funny because as well, me and Sean were chatting before we went out. We're standing in the hallway together,
Yeah.
and then I said that I was glad I was fighting him because me and him both come from like a GA background.
Yeah.
So here's the deal: if you don't know anything about the guy, Gaelic or hurling or anything, you shake hands at the start, you attempt to murder each other, and then you shake hands at the end, and then you go for pints. That's the background we come from. So I wasn't worried about. People were just like, "Oh, you think something's going to happen after?" I'm like, "I'm going to buy him a beer and we're going to hang out." My only disappointment of the night was Sean's ma shouted at me.
Really?
Sean's mum gave off to me. But on that, me and Sean were like, that was great fun.
Yeah. Sean looked dazed, like, so it was funny, but it was see, like, building up to it. But like, what was the training and stuff like for you? Because there wasn't it seemed to be a lot more of like Shane's team that was on camera.
Oh, did you not hear? I was really sick.
Really? Did you get sick through it?
I'm asthmatic and I got a really bad chest infection. Like when I was trying not to let on, I just wasn't saying anything. And then when they got our gum shields molded, I was chatting to Sean. He was like, "Dude, you do not look well." And I was like, "I haven't done anything in 2 weeks."
Yeah.
So I got out of the 6 weeks, I got about 3 weeks at it.
Yeah.
I got 2 sparring sessions in.
And you did like a charity boxing thing before then as well.
I did a white collar for cancer research in 2018, which is what I wrote the show Fighting Fit about.
Oh right, was that about? I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, that was a show I did in the Black Box, but I'm gonna bring it back this year because I only did it once, and I was like, that's a really good show. Why did I do that once? I did it, and that was, but the experience of that was not about the boxing or fighting because I'd never really done that before.
Yeah,
it was basically a whole thing about my head being fucked when I arrived home from traveling.
Yeah.
So 8 years on the road, and then you just get home, and then it's one of those ones where I was like sitting in my ma's. Yeah, I was like sitting in my ma's in Bestbrook, and I was like 3 weeks ago I was doing a stand up gig on a hotel roof in Bali.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And now I'm just like, what do you want for your dinner? And I was like, I want a plane ticket. I need out of here. So that was the whole point of that. I signed up for something to focus on. It was like 8 weeks of training.
That's sort of what like it's like everyone's outlet at the minute is either traveling or comedy at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially with the influx of people who came in to stand up at the minute. You know, it's like after lockdown, everyone was like, "Fuck, I need to tell a few jokes." You know.
Yeah.
So it was crazy after that, but yeah. So I can imagine what like fighting would do for it. You know, especially like the training and stuff. Like I used to do it when I was younger. Like, but I didn't really have the passion for it. You know, so like I would have loved to like do something like that this time around, but it just like. You know, wasn't asked.
Yeah, there's always next year.
Next year.
I come up with the idea that for next year, because obviously with mine Sean's fight where I like lifted him and threw him, someone was like, "Oh, you're like a panto villain now." It's like it's like being a heel in wrestling.
Yeah,
I was like, "That's fine." He goes, "We'll do it again then. It'll be a bit of crack."
That's what I was expecting. Full blown theatrics. Like I was expecting. Like that was the only thing. Everyone took it so seriously. Everyone just came out like dancing to the wee songs and
yeah. I ran into the ring like the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
I got in and slid on the ropes. I was like,
to be fair, that's like that's what I was expecting like that from everyone. Like I was expecting like people like McKiarney did he coming out in his robe and stuff. He did a lot, and then I was expecting like people to come out with like fucking like mascots and stuff, just doing metal stuff. But it seemed like everyone was like overly. Like they were like, even though this is a comedy boxing night, we're still going to kick the fuck out of each other. So with all this shit in our mind,
we couldn't even get a +1 ticket for us. You're talking about bringing mascots with you, fucking mad. Yeah, it's mad.
Yeah, I know. What was the crack? Well, like why was no one?
They sold all the tickets in 5 minutes, and then we're like, here, so have we got like +1s for it? We can bring like a family member or a friend or partners, and people were like, nah, there's no tickets left. And then they were like, oh, well, the organizer that you can buy a +1. I was like, so there are tickets left? Yeah, you fucking So I was just like, all right, never mind. I was like, I showed up by Carriot.
I was laughing at Kieran was talking about it last week. He was like, Sean McAlevey was like, oh yeah, I got you a ticket. Don't worry, man, I've sorted you out now. And he was like, oh, that's cost, thank you very much. And he was like, yeah, it's 30 quid. And he was like, right, okay.
Yeah, I didn't know about any of this. So I was just like, because I was so busy fucking trying to get well in it. So what was really annoying was I got 2 weeks of really good training and I got sick.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, well, obviously, chest infection and asthma, you're like, I can't train.
Yeah.
So I couldn't do anything, and then I had to take antibiotics. And then I was like, I think I'm okay. I was grand for about 4 days, and then I started training again, got a week of training, and then I was beat. And then I got more fucking antibiotics. And then I think I got 2 sessions, just 2 cardio sessions in the week of the fight, and that was it.
That's grim. And even before that, you did very well. You know what I mean? Because Sean's in good nick as well. Like
I thought he was gonna. I was very, very aware he was gonna beat the shit out of me. That's where there was so much more so much more else going on in my head where I had to sort of organise things, because
Yeah.
as that Sean said in his podcast, he thought he had a one. I was like, I thought it was a really tight fight, because in the first round, it was one of those ones where Tyrone McKenna says in the commentary, he's like, Darren's not really throwing much. I sort of went out my hands up and I was like, I want to see how serious Sean's going to take it, and he hit me a stinger straight away, and I was like, all right, we're fighting it.
You're like, right, I'm throwing you across the ring.
Yeah. But I think that comes from my background. That's like a sports background of just like ending anything where if anybody grabs you or anything, it's just
right, get the fuck off me.
Yeah, I have a temper. So I never thought it. I have 3 brothers who are fucking nuts. It's a genetic hair trigger. Yeah. So it's like he grabbed me, and you see, because I like put my hands out, I was like, what's going on? And then I just lifted him, and then
it felt very like Gaelic playery, like something you would see, like if someone's like tussling, like you were like, right, get the fuck off me, that's it.
Because I went over and Paddy McCrory goes to me, you can't do that, and I go, I've never fucking boxed before, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is this a thing? Yeah.
It was funny though, like you did handle yourself very well. Because, you know, like I watch boxing flat out as well, so, you know, like everyone that watches boxing thinks they're the best at it, you know, so.
Oh, like, geez, no, I only had like a 1-2, that's all I had. Because whenever when Paulie was like, he keeps putting his head down, hit him an uppercut, I was like, there's no power if I uppercut anybody.
Especially it's that thing, you know, like, once you get hit in the face, you're like, right, what the plan's out the window, like, you're just trying to, like, keep your head up until the end of the fight, so.
Yeah, it was I think I was really glad, because me and Sean had beers after, and I was like, I was really glad I was fighting Sean, because we weren't. It was like, it's really good to be doing this, but it's not our fucking lives.
Yeah, exactly. So
I'm like, we're not boxers. If we get into a ring with a boxer, they would beat the shit out of us. Yeah. You would get seriously hurt.
So I was going to say about like how it might, like everyone would feel kind of nervous going into it because everyone didn't know how hard the other person was going to go.
Yeah, you're not really sure.
Yeah, everyone was like saying the same thing about like, oh, whenever I got in, I was waiting on them to throw the first punch, whereas like if it was taken seriously, if there was like bad blood between you or anything, you'd have went in and goes, right, I'm going to kill him, you know, like. So it was that thing of like, I'm going to like voluntarily fight one of my mates here, so it's like.
Here's the thing, you're wearing 16-ounce gloves and headgear. Getting a punch in the head is kind of more annoying. Yeah. A punch in the body hurts more. Yeah. Because your head's very protective of the stuff. It's to stop you getting cut. Yeah. So you get one on the nose, you bust your nose, but the rest is fine. You hit in the head, you kind of go, oh, and it's annoying. Yeah. But it's No, it was really fun to do. Like the atmosphere in the Ulster Hall was cool, and if they do it again, I was like, I'll fight Sean in the first half, he can have his revenge, and then I'll fight Franco the second half, because it's like a handicap match then, because Franco's like, because there's been a few times when Franco's been doing gigs and he was like, I think he
handicap there.
he has a bit about you know like the small man syndrome kind of thing.
Yeah.
But there's one where we were doing the sunflower, and he was like. He like called me out, you know, as part of the bit, and I was like, I'm fucking beat shit. I threw it downstairs, you bastard.
You're just waiting on that coming through. Yeah, I know, it would just be like, that's for going over fucking 10 minutes, you dickheads.
I know, I get awful slagging about that, but I'm just like, you try running a show with 10 comedians, and everybody does 12 minutes, and the crowd's going home at 3 a.m. I know. No one's enjoying that.
Yeah, I know, especially if you've got like McGinley, like MCing or something, you're like, right, we're not getting home tonight then.
No, it was good.
3-day event.
Thank God all the ones have been going really well. It's nice that we're settled back in again and established. Because
when's the next one? For like anyone that doesn't know, you probably already do. A lot of people are comedy fans that just listen to this anyway.
That's good.
Darren runs the Sunflower Bar, the Sunflower Comedy Club,
which is the last Sunday of every month.
Yeah, but don't pester him. It's annoying. So
if you're a comedian, come up and go to the show and come say hi.
That's everyone always. I've been asked multiple times, how do you get the sunflower? Because like I've done it 2 or 3 times now, and they're like, how do you do the sunflower? And I'm like, show up, be nice, just smile, and you know, support it first, and then Darren will see where to go with it. But,
go and introduce me. We're doing now where there's now. I mean, there's been an explosion of comedians on the scene. So
wild.
So many now. It's that there's loads of gigs, but. If we're trying to we're in that rocky bit where we're trying to stabilize what's a good gig and what's worth keeping, and then people want stage time, so people are running their own stuff.
Yeah,
they're very, very worried that we're just like, right, it's the fucking boom and bust economy where the worry is that if people are like, oh, I'm just going to run my own gig to get stage time, I'm like, okay, just be very aware that if you run a gig in a venue and it doesn't go great, or you book 8 of your mates and you just only get 4 minutes each, the worry about that is people say, I went to a comedy gig in this venue and it was shit. And then if there's another gig on, you're just like, hey, we've been running this for ages, and this is quality control.
I know, 100%.
So it's such a thing, like where people message me and they go, can I run a gig in the summer? I'm like, I don't own the venue.
I messaged you that. So.
Yeah, but I was like, go ahead.
Yeah, I know.
But I was like, but if you want, I was like, stick the sunflower logo on it, and I can put it on the social media pages.
I was because unannounced, but we're doing a show in it that it's not stand up, but it's to do with this. But And I was just asking yourself to how to go about it. I was like, how do you, like, what way do they run it? But it was just literally, I rang them and they were like, come down, put a deposit down, you'll be sweet. I was like, this place is class. This is so much better. But yeah, I know the feeling because I'm running a one-off gig again, just that whole like do stage time thing, because a guy who owns a bar was just up for it, so I was like whatever, and he wouldn't charge me for the room and stuff.
That's
and
important.
I got a lot of shit for the lineup I put on it, because I put Kieran, Pete, Adam Byrne and William headlining, and everyone went, very diverse, isn't it? And I went, oh fuck, I didn't even think of that. I just went straight into who's going to make people laugh, who aren't going to get mad at me if the night goes shit, you know, who's going to just accept the fact, oh, it's his first gig, you know.
That's a strange one, that with that sort of thing. There was a whole argument online about that online, and somebody named me being like, well, and as if like I was gonna write in and be like, here I am, you know. Somebody said it was like,
unveil the curtain.
Yeah, but they were like, Darren puts on, and I just went, I'm gonna stop this now. I was like, funny's funny. I don't care what else is going on.
Yeah, exactly.
You're picking the wrong battle here. I was like, I'm another fucking straight white dude. So
yeah, I know. I heard Sean McAlevey said on stage one time, he was like, we don't do men and women here, we do funny fuckers, and I was like, that's a good way to put that.
Yeah, it's just if somebody's funny, that's fine, and then it's that whole thing where people go, oh, you don't book me for that gig. I'm like, well, you're running your own gig, so that's your grand.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I'm like, I'll come see you. Or let's gig swap. Let's be community thinking. Not
exactly. That's not competition.
Not my team's over here. Like but you eventually run out of fucking people to play with, so you need to diversify and get it.
Exactly. Yeah, and it is a good thing. I was just thinking in my head, who's not going to fucking spread shit about me if it goes to shit? You know, who's not going to hold it against me, or you know, things like that? Because I know people go, that was a fucking ropey gig, I won't be doing another one with him, you know, like that sort of way. So
if you can put on a gig and you can give lads a guarantee, or pay what you're going to pay, what you say you're going to, and you can do your best, like anybody going into a first night in anywhere knows there's a risk about it.
Exactly. Yeah,
but it's that one where it's like, if something's established, then you're like, well, there's no excuse for this being weird. Or you shouldn't be chasing your heels, like so.
Yeah. How long has the Sunflower been going on now then? I heard someone was talking about it the other day about it, how it's like one of the longer running ones in the scene.
Well, we did 2020, we got March out of it. Or no, we got January, February out of it. Yeah. So for launch gig was a brilliant charity show we did for William Thompson. It was for his mommy. So Marie Curie, we did a thing for that.
Yeah.
Where brilliant, really stacked lineup, and we sold it out straight away, and then it was like, we give like, I think, what was it? 10 or 12, it was like 500 quid basically just to Marie Curie. So that was like a launch to be like, hey, we're doing this. Because Anto Barrett was running it before me. Anto, I don't even know if Anto's still gigging, but he was running it, and he was just like, I don't really have time for it, I don't have love for it. And I was like, I think the room's amazing. Anto, I go, can I take it from you if you don't want it?
Yeah, exactly.
And he was like, yeah, and he gave me the Facebook page, and then I divvied it up a wee bit. Vittorio Angeloni did a new logo, just like, here, take that, because some people, one of the great things about the comedy scene is you can utilize what other people's skills are. My skill is that I run shows and that I talk, but all of the technology thing is beyond me. So it's good to have, one of the good things with younger comedians or new comedians is that, like, you've got a music production background, so you can make podcasts. Chico's filming stuff. There's people who know people.
Yeah, exactly.
Where you can create quality product.
I know.
Whereas I'm like, I just stand on stage and talk. So with Sunflower's about, well, it's 3 years in, I suppose, but there was the big gap in between. Obviously, we were open and we were closed, and I was like, I just didn't really do it until we could do a proper gig. Yeah. That half capacity thing was, I was like, fuck that.
Really? Do you not like that? No.
No, because it was just like,
I'm like, if there's bar staff in, I'll gig to them.
yeah, I know, but that's the new act thing where I fully understand that you lads are like, let's do everything, but I'm like,
I get
not that picking and choosing, but like, same as you, I have a job.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not a full-time stand-up. If I was a full-time stand-up, I'd gig every hole in the hedge.
I know.
But I'm like, no, I've fucking life outside this. I'm still playing football.
It needs to be worth your while doing it then, yeah. It's good, like, but it's mental. It definitely is one of the better rooms in the country as well. Like, I haven't had
it's a lovely room, nice,
Yeah, I haven't had a bad gig in it. I've had like a few jokes not long, but like, it's my fault, you know, like the crowd.
Fucking happens every time. If I get up and have a new bit to try, if it doesn't fly, whatever.
I know. That's I was like, the last time I did it, it was like, oh, do you mind if I try a new bit with you? It wasn't new. It was about 3 months old, and it hadn't shaved the shit off it yet. It was just one I was always like, every time I do this, it gets a different reaction. So it was like best of three sort of thing. Where
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen.
yeah, so it was like if it lands, it lands. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And it did all right. And I was like, right, I'll play that off as a new bit. I was like, and you were like, don't do new bits. I was like, sorry, it wasn't. I promise.
Yeah, because I was like, hey, see peg gig. I don't want to hear you say that's a new bit.
Exactly.
And you were like, no, it wasn't really. I go, well, that's fucking worse. Don't say that.
No, it's like everyone has that same like thing. Like I did the Boiler Room on Thursday, and Ro Boyle was like even saying the same thing. He was like, you know, it's a good room, but yeah, you know, if it's a paid gig, you don't do new stuff, you know. And I was like, that's a good attitude to have.
Also, Boiler Room is a really, really good gig. So here's see stuff like when you're on a good gig with like a Boiler Room or a Sunflower. Weirdly enough, there's more pressure because
if it flops one night, then
no, not even the gig flops. If everyone is fucking doing really well, and then you're the guy.
Oh, you're the fuck.
I'm just it's one of those ones where when a gig is cooking, I'm just like, this is really good, and I don't have to do bugger all MC, and I'm just like, everyone's fucking doing great. We'll just keep rolling it, and then somebody tanks, and you're like, oh, how did you do that? They were so loving and so into it.
I did that Yo Magazine one. I filled in for Rory Woods for the Yo Magazine one. Whole gig was going unreal. I did very well in it, and then Kieran MCing just gave up. He was like, I was like, because I don't know why, it just maybe was no way Kieran mumbles a bit or something, or like maybe I don't know what it was, but it was that situation where Kieran came off. He was like, how was I the only one that didn't do good there, you know? And I was like Johnny Bow went up and ripped the room apart. Brona Diamond went up and like destroyed everyone, you know. And then Kieran was MCing, and he didn't get the same reception as everyone else, and he like came off and he was like, what the fuck happened there, you know?
Well, look, I mean that can happen. MC is so much more work, and it's MCing such a weird thing. There's so much weird psychology and your job, and you're not trying to be the best. You're kind of steering the whole thing. Yeah, But have you done any gigs yet? Have you ever seen an MC try to steal a gig?
Yep. 100%.
What's the point of that? That's not your job.
And you can name drop a few of them who will do it multiple times as well.
But I'm like, this isn't about me. Exactly. And because I'm running the show, it's like I would give off to an MC if I booked them and was like, what are you doing?
You are very
Just
good.
Do your bit.
Like you're very good at that. For like you would, it's near like a leader rather than a like a boss. If you get what I mean. Some people want to take it as if they're MCing it. I'm headlining it. Whereas like you lead it, whereas in like telling the crowd we're going to have a good night. These acts are class. I'm just here in between to show you what the crack is, which is what you're really good at. Whereas some people will do it where like in between an act they do 10 minutes, and you're like you're not the king of this show right now.
If an act does well, next person straight up.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you're a bit, or if at most you can do a bit where I like to do a thing where I will reference. If I've got something in my head, I'll reference something they said. It'll get a quick laugh, and we're still with it.
100%. Yeah. You also don't you don't put people down before you get on stage. You won't slag them before, but if you have something to say after, which is really good. David Doherty Jeb is the worst for that. He'll do 3 minutes on how I'm a scumbag from Craigavon beforehand. Like, I did the Balmoral Hotel, and he did about...
You're like, thanks for buttering him up there for me.
I was like, I came on a fucking charity case. I was like, the way he brought me on, he was like, for £2 a day, you can sponsor this man for a Greg sausage roll. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, it's like, how am I supposed to, I'm just a bitch to this crowd now,
No, beforehand is all... I love this dude. You're gonna love him. Yeah. It's just it's putting that idea in their head.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like, this is all positivity, and we're all mates. You cued it well there, where it's like you're leading a pub crawl. You're like one of those fucking reps on holiday. Mm-hmm. Guys, we're gonna have a great time. That's your job. You're
finger guns all over the place.
Yeah. It's that. It's like we're gonna have a good time, and you're leading the charge. It's like I was like MCing's like. You're in the audience and they've decided you're the spokesperson.
Yeah,
like, what's happening? You having a good time? And then we're gonna, but it's all that, and it's bigging up the acts, and it's not about you. It's what I said to somebody is like, if somebody does really badly, you need to get up and use your closer. Yeah. To it's like throwing yourself in your own sword.
Exactly.
You're like for the good of the gig, and you just fucking commit Harry Carey. You know what I mean?
I've seen
it's that idea.
Certain metal case acts come off, and ones who will just kill a room like as in. The crack's gone. There's everyone's just left fucking stunned after the gig, and the MC will come up and go, "That was metal," and you're like, that's fucking. It works, but it's at the same time you're like, oh, you just made that act feel like shit there,
Yeah, it's a very fine line as well, where it's one of those ones where I would always say something. The thing I learned, my very first gig, I watched the video of it years ago. The very first thing I did was I slagged the MC.
Oh really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's,
And then, but it was just a reaction because I'd never done comedy before, and it came from that place where you're back on the school bus.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody says something to you and you just immediately are meaner back to them.
Yeah, 100%.
Where he introduced me and was perfectly lovely, and then I told a joke about, and you can see in the videos he walks off. He's like, "What?" You know, he's still in shock. Going, "What did he say?" And then, but you forget that if you're going to slag the MC, he gets up after you.
He's back on, yeah.
And you're like, "Oh, well, you're done for the night, are you?" Because I've got 4 minutes on you, you weirdo. So it's a fine line, but no.
Yeah, I'm actually just on the base of money is why I'm like this month I'm MCing like 6 times or something. So I'm doing the PAV on Monday, then I'm doing my own gig on Thursday, then I'm doing that ARDS one in Giuseppe's on Friday, then I'm doing the student union at the end of the month, and then I'm doing another one at some point. But I was like strictly on I need paid. I was like I'm just back from Amsterdam and I have no money. I just bought a new car and I'm like I need money this time around, you know.
How are you finding? I mean, have you done much MCing? Or are you like fighting your style, that kind of thing? Where it's, because you're stand up, but you've been doing it long enough that there is a defined style. Yeah. But when you're MCing, you have to be like be just sound.
If like the Sunflower one, I didn't do a lot of crowd work, but like even whenever I did my first Laveries and you were MCing it, you know, and I had 7 minutes and I did like 2 minutes of crowd work, you know, like that's not good, but it's what I've been trying to do because I want to get into MCing, because my crowd work ends up a lot better than like some of my jokes. So I'm like quite good at it whenever I'm
hurts your feelings when that happens. That happens to me too.
Exactly.
I write a bit, improv a bit, and it does great, and you're like, I hate myself.
Yeah,
sat and worked on that other bit.
No, for 3 months I thought about that other joke, but it's alright. Yeah, it's depressing, like, but that's what I mean. That's like once I got the vibe for that, because I stopped bringing like a script on stage and I've just got like bits in my head. It's as scummy as it sounds. So I've started like in the last like 6 months writing on stage. I'll like think of a premise and I'll hope for the best and just trust myself to be funny. It was actually Paddy McDonald said that to me. He was like, "Don't bring notes." He's like, "Trust yourself. If you're funny, you'll be funny." And I was like, that makes a lot of sense, but it might not work for everyone, you know. But it did sort of work for me, and like that way, I'm like, oh, this has helped me a lot, and I've brought crowd work into the mix with it, and I'm like, maybe if I'm MCing, I can do a bit more of that. You know, I can get a bit more personal with the crowd and stuff. And
I had that not even when I started, like even till recent years, where I would bring my notebook with me, but I might never look at it. It's like a toddler with a wee blankie, or a favourite teddy. You're like, what's in your notebook? I have nothing in here.
I get it if you're like writing, like, you know, someone who's writing a show and they're like, I have an hour to like put in my head. Yeah. It's different whenever I'm like, you know, I'm doing 10-minute sets left, right and centre, and I'm like, 10 minutes you can fill in no ball, you know. So it's like trying to keep it rolling with it, but I'll just have the bullet points of the joke in my head and then just trust myself to let it land, and if the crowd heckle or anything, I'll have some response for it and stuff, you know. I'll have like that sort of planned out. But like, for example, that Boiler Room one on Thursday, I haven't like felt that sort of shake in a room, you know, whenever you're trying to get a build up and they're laughing at the build up and like you're like, you can't get the words out, and like slagging people for being culties and Strabon and all, and they were like, they all like, that made me be like, right, you can trust yourself to do it a bit more, you know. Like I always say to like Pete about how, because Pete is very like, he from the first word to the end word, it's the same every time, you know. He never goes off script at all, and I'm like, if you were a bit more comfortable on stage, you could be like one of the best comedians in this country, like, you know. He like, if he was just a bit more like, I know the material, I'm gonna, but again, like, he is always writing a longer set, so I understand the notes whenever.
I was gonna, but that's Pete's choice to do that. Yeah. It's how he writes, and how this is the whole thing about everybody being different. I've seen people with a fucking typed A4 page and like, that's my 15-minute set. I'm like, how do you learn this?
He's like, you know, just, you know, typed out, like, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I'm the same as you. I have bullet points. I have like, the joke ends there and here's the start of it, and then we'll see where we go, and then it changes and tightens and moves. I think people think I'm doing like new sets all the time, but it's that I don't remember the order of my own stuff. So it just goes into my brain, go, that work, do this next.
Yeah. See, that's what I mean, why I think, like, I've been told a few times of like, you should MC, because I sort of just wing where the jokes will go into it, and I can talk to the crowd in between it to bring the joke into it, which of...
Yeah, because, then again, MCing is not just telling jokes. Yeah, when you see people get up, they've never MC before, hey, welcome to the show, and then just do their set. Yeah. I'm like, dude, come on. You gotta bring them and make it about them.
Yeah, and obviously doing this as well has helped a lot. You know, like doing the podcast, like trying to learn how to talk off cuff. You know, trying to keep
off cuff. Do you mean off the cuff?
Yeah, you know what I mean. Listen, we're fighting next. You know what I mean? Like that's just like talking for over an hour is hard enough, you know. So like this gives you a lot of practice for that, you know, just sort of winging it. Not whenever you're hungover like this and you can't even think of words. So
fair play to you. Remember to even like put your hat on today.
Yeah,
how hungover this man is.
I was upstairs talking to my girlfriend and I was like, oh shit, Darren's outside. I was like, oh god.
Yeah.
You know when you put a hoodie on with no t-shirt under it and you're like, oh, I'm done today.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
You answered the door, just hoodie, socks, fuck all else. Morning, Jesus lad.
Cock out, full Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, full Sunday dinner.
I know. But I think we'll start into some questions. We've got a few questions here.
Oh, we got questions, good stuff.
Yeah.
I think I asked for someone, probably nobody got back to me.
No, first one, actually, we got two from James Downey. Shout out James Downey.
I was gigging with James the other night.
Yeah. Oh, where were you gigging with him?
The Umbrella gig over in East Belfast.
Oh, yeah. That room's filling out recently. They used to be like, you know, like maximum like 6 people, and now like they're putting like 30 in it.
Yeah, it was a really nice gig the other night. I went on last, and it was just different gigs of different atmospheres. And it was just like a lovely, nice chat. Yeah,
that's what, like I haven't done it yet. No reply. But I went down with Adam and Pete when they were doing it, just to like, because I was doing the Yo magazine one after that, so I was like, I'll head down with yous and then I will head over to the Yo one, and it was a really good gig for them. So I was like, Pete did a bit about the DUP, or it was something along those lines, and it did not land. It just over the head. Just everything was killing the whole way through. Nutty crust, fucking everything. And then he mentioned the DUP. Crowd just went, you're like
in East Belfast.
Yeah.
Do you know what's weird? It can be just whoever's in, because I did a whole bit about like the East Belfast GAA, and I was standing. There's a photograph of me that was used in the Irish News where I'm standing holding a slitter, being like, explain what it is. Yeah. And that was the photo using me like with a microphone holding a fucking hurling ball. I'm like, what's he doing? I'm like, Protestants. This is
That's a good bit though. So James Downey asked, Jesus, I'm fucked up here. Sort of rescheduled this. How long did it take you to master the kung fu trip he pelted Sean?
The kung fu trip?
Yeah.
So that was more of a judo throw.
A judo throw, yeah.
How long they had? What is my 37? So it's probably some sort of childhood trauma. I want to say 30 years minimum.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Getting that, not getting my head dunked in the toilet in school. That was maybe.
Well, you know what? I never got. Well, I was gonna say I never got bullied. I can see why. It's just like no. I have, as I said earlier, I have 3 brothers, and they have like. Yeah. I'm always like I'm the calm one in the family until somebody wraps their arms around me. Yeah. I did it at Gaelic last year where a guy wrapped his arms around me, and whatever happens, a switch goes, and I fucking elbowed him in the face.
It makes sense. Like
I was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I don't really know." That was just like that's a reaction.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
The other one he asked is favorite place to gig outside of Northern Ireland or the north of Ireland.
Favorite place to gig outside? Well,
he didn't say that, but
I lived in Australia for a long time, and those gigs over there were brilliant.
Yeah. I always hear like Australia is like one of the better places to do it.
Yeah,
like
I did
Scotland, Liverpool, Belfast, and Australia is the main ones.
Yeah, I done Glasgow on the Farmer Michael tour. It was brilliant.
Yeah,
Liverpool was a lot of fun. Anywhere in the north of England, they're very similar to us. You can give them a bit of dirty humour, and they're good crack. Yeah. Australia was class just because I went over. There was a year when loads of people went and did the Edinburgh Festival, and I was like, I've never done Edinburgh because I just don't have $5,000 and a month off.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas there was one January I flew to Australia. It was after I'd lived there. I flew back over, stayed with my cousins. I did the Perth Fringe and the Adelaide Fringe. Actually made money and came home.
Really?
Yeah.
There was profit made on it?
It was profit made on it. There was one year I did Perth, and then I worked whenever Adelaide was on, and then I went over and did a week at the Melbourne Comedy Festival as well. Yeah. It was like 2013 though.
Holy shit.
But it was good. So yeah, that was probably my favourite. And then I did a full tour of Asia, and it was fucking amazing.
Did you do stand up over there as well, or?
Yeah. No, that's what I was doing.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
Yeah. I started in Singapore in January, and I went up around Asia, and I ended up back in Singapore for Paddy's Day.
So like, how does material go down over there, or is it just all like expats that are coming to the shows?
No, it's a mix of everybody.
Really?
You have that thing where people over there actually, and it did happen to me, and I talk about it on stage, but it was very, very funny, where somebody came up to me after a gig in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia.
Yeah.
and they said to me, "You were really funny, and also your English is really good." Because I was like, I'm from Ireland, so they're like, oh, they knew Ireland had its own language, so they're like, your English is really good, and I was like, it's not, but thanks, thanks very much. Do you know what? That was the one where I was doing a gig, and I said, I was like, fucking Irish people are everywhere, and this was a room of like 120 people in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and I was like, watch this, anybody Irish in here? And there was like this week, I was like, hiya, and I was like, fucking, there you go. And I was like, where are you from? And she went, Katie. She's from Katie and Armagh, and she was over there teaching, and I was like,
they're everywhere, like,
everywhere. And I was, and then I had been doing a joke about, like, you know, getting stopped at customs and where I was from and what people know about here, and I was like, there you go, there's the other member of my cell.
I know, there's I think it was Mickey said, he was like, you're always like 5 feet away from an Irish person anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
You know, it's
even worse, you're 4 feet away from a person from Armagh.
Exactly. Like, it's always like, and every time we go anywhere, I went to Amsterdam, and like sitting, I can't remember where we were, but I remember just hearing like, we were going into like a canal tour, and it was one of them like wee long boats, whatever the hell they're called.
The canal boat, yeah.
Canal boat, yeah. And I walked.
Fuck,
in.
you're hungover.
Yeah. Saying on, but like I already have. But like we went into it, and the whole trip I'd been like, I haven't seen any like Northern Irish people here this entire time. It's all just been 6'15" Dutchmen, and you know, like the odd like English person. And I was like, there's no Northern Irish person. We went onto this wee canal boat. First thing I hear is, I'm not fucking sitting in between him. And then I was like, the first person I hear from Northern Ireland's yapping about something.
Yeah. Complaining. You just hear off in the distance.
And then I got further on down the boat, sat down, and like I was joking about something to my girlfriend because like it started the engine up, and I goes, do you think this thing's petrol or diesel? And the guy beside me turns around to his girlfriend who's in front of him, or his wife or whatever, and goes, what do you think? Do you think it is, And I was like, Jesus Christ. I was like, they're fucking everywhere right now. I was like, and then the guy, like, it was just like such a Belfast conversation because they give you wee headphones you have to plug into the side where you can do a wee tour of it, and the guy turns around and he's like, sure you couldn't fucking reach out anywhere. And I was like, this is beautiful. I was like, this is, you know. And then
we're abroad and we're complaining.
He was like, it's good to know we're on a boat with the world's smallest toilet. And I was like, stop yapping. No, I mean, like,
yeah, you're on your holidays, fuck up.
Yeah. I was like,
be quiet.
It's scary. I was like, this is where all the Northern Irish people are. They're on this one canal boat. So
see, you have that one where whenever you're doing gigs, I would say where I'm from, and you go, is anybody else in? Every other country in the world will go, hey, or hi. You know, the Canadians and Americans are, hi. We'll go, anybody in? And you gotta, and I go, I can't. I don't need to see your passport. Whichever one of the two you fucking have.
I know. Or you get the like, like like you get that, like, if it's usually someone from Lurgan as well.
Yeah.
From our mate. Like the only place I've gigged outside of Northern Ireland was Dublin. I haven't really went further than that. I'm planning on doing like like, you know, 2 or 3 shows in England maybe over the summer, but that's it really. I haven't really got that
it's so there's so much more planned whenever because I know you work full time. Whenever you're doing that, you're like, I have to fucking plan months ahead of you.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm like summer, September time, you know.
I'm away for Paddy's Day this year, and I think myself and Aaron McCann are doing some gigs in Toronto in Canada. Really? Where I used to live as well, so
so you know we were
re-establishing my connections. Gonna go for Paddy's Day and see my mates.
Anyone in here from Ireland?
Yeah, 4,000 of them.
It sounds like a cow every time.
Should be a big gig. But no, they were anywhere. Basically, it's nice to get away. So anywhere fucking was great.
But, as like even like Kieran in his first year gigged in like Vegas.
That's quite cool.
Yeah, it is. It's like it's different, you know. Like how could you trust yourself to, like, you know what? In your first year, you're always like Catholics and Protestants, you know. Yeah. Whereas like, how did he go over there and was like, right, I work in a school in a hardline loyalist area, you know, and you're like,
well, you write what you know, and then like when I was traveling, so you drop me anywhere for about 3 days, and I'll come up, I'll have a new 20 minutes. So I was in Asia, and I was talking about stuff. Yeah. But you learn a bit about the history of the country. So when you're in, say, like Malaysia, I'm going, you know, this is going to sound weird. You know, we're in Malaysia. I said, I'm from Ireland. You know, 10,000 miles away. Yeah. I said, but you know, we actually have a lot. We have a lot of things we share in common. You know, we have a lot of things. We have a lot of the same problems. You know, which, as you call them, the Brits, and that works in Malaysia because that's also a former colony. So exactly. They get that. That's part of their history. And then you go, well, I'm not going to say that in Vietnam because that's a different thing.
No, 100%.
But yeah,
Yeah, fuck. Anyway, move on to another question because fuck, brain is done in today.
Your brain's pouring out your eye, I can see it from here.
Yeah, I swear to God, like it's every hole in my body's leaking.
Yeah, by the way, I apologise as well. I just realised that when you put two Armagh men in the room together, listen to this on half speed and you'll know what we're saying.
I know, like
we understand each other, so we have taken off like a sprinter.
This is becoming a bit of a problem. We recorded an episode earlier in the week, just me and my mates, like, and I was two of them were like stoned, and I was like, I had like 4 pints in me. So I
such a mix of a buzz that.
So they were like, I like, just thinking about Andrew Tate, and I was like, I sounded like I was just doing a hum the entire time. So it was just, I was a fucking Busta Rhymes, like. It was mad. Busta Rhymes sounds like someone from like Cork. Naomi Mitchell asks, she's always on the questions. Comedy stars in their eyes is the next thing being talked about. What would be your tonight, Darren Matthews? I'm going to be. Question was too big for the box. Yeah, so what would be
No, that's who if you had to do Stars in Your Eyes, where you're going out pretending to be somebody and play, who would you be?
Oh, is that what Stars in Your Eyes is?
Yeah, you're very young. It was a TV show in the 90s. Matthew Kelly presented it. Yeah, Stars in Your Eyes, where you basically they dress you up like somebody and you go out and pretend to be them. Jesus, that's a really good one, because I'm really into music, so I'm like,
you pull off a good
there's 3,000 of those I could do.
Good Gordon Ramsay, I say.
Gordon Ramsay, well, he's not a singer. Just for the anger, just shave and put on a Scottish accent. Who would be a good one? Jesus, that is a good one, because I'm like, well, I play drums, so that's no good. I'm like, is there any famous drummer singers? I don't know. I could just do a John Bonham and just drink myself to death live on stage. Keith Moon, wreck the kit.
The Pogues. Like, just a good one of them. Just knock each other's teeth out.
Drink a bottle of gin on stage. What would you do? You need to be doing something you know of the mime. And also, I'm too skinny to be Meatloaf.
Oh, so do you actually have to sing yourself as well?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Alex, no, fuck, I thought it was like a lip sync battle. Like.
No. This is when people actually had to be talented to do stuff. I'm trying to think of there was like a celebrity one time, and Frank Skinner did Buddy Holly. No, we did Elvis Costello. Because they both look quite similar.
Yeah.
So, but I wouldn't be good enough to mime playing guitar.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'd pull off a good Tom Walker. Like, have you ever seen Tom Walker? We say this is good content here for the listeners.
Tom Walker. Oh wait, no, is this the dude who just looks like you?
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's a good wee singer, like, but I don't think I could pull off the voice even right now.
This is just a comp in the beard with a beanie. But I haven't seen this. For those listening, I haven't seen the photo, but I've already guessed. Aye, there you go. That looks like your stunt double.
It literally is, like.
Yeah.
It looks like if me and him were in the same room, like you'd be drunk. But that's one I could pull off, I'd say. But
you could do Tom, but can you sing like him if you had to?
No, I'll just offer my condolences. That's I don't know. I'm so sorry about this. I'm hanging. But
Stars in Your Eyes. I don't know. I thought about one when they were talking about like another thing we could do if they're going to do Stars in Your Eyes. I was like, you could do one like karaoke where you do your set and then you have to do a song at the end.
Yeah.
Because I'm an alright singer, so I'll give it a blast.
Yeah, go for it, even Will Ray is running a gig in the River Rooms, and the next one he's doing, it's like a roast battle, but it's me and Adam Byrne. He's only trying it once because we know each other quite well, so we're like, like there's no hard feelings between it. But it's like we do our set, do 5 minutes, and then we go up and take the piss out of each other's set. So
okay, like
you try and make jokes about it or them or relate it to them or whatever. Like I have a lot of stuff about Adam Byrne's Ginger Jamie Dornan jokes, so that's he's getting fucked up about it. But it's like, so that's what I imagine that being like, like doing your set and then singing it or whatever,
Okay, I would reference the fact that there's for a percentage of the population, there's a lot of gingers doing comedy right now.
Yeah, there is, isn't there?
Yeah, like, not even unique anymore because you bastards showed up.
We half the lineups are all from Lurgan now as well. That's what's meant.
It's true as well.
We like that again. The first Laveries I did, it was me, you, and Craig Moran. All fucking.
That's right. Somebody said to me, Craig Moran looks like my stunt double, and I was like, fair enough. I was like, I'm going home to shave the beard.
And then I went on stage and said we're like the shittiest version of like Spider-Man No Way Home, like But it's like our superpower isn't like super strength or anything. It's just we get sunburn when you open the fridge.
Yeah, just can't be outside for too long.
There's just the superpower is no melanin whatsoever.
Yeah, like a real spider, we work best in attics.
Yeah.
Just leave me up there. I'll be alright.
Good Hammer, mate. That's about it.
Pretty much.
Yeah, but that was so I think mine. One I always thought about. I think Keezy could do a belter Meatloaf.
Kesey's a brilliant singer.
Yeah, I think
really good.
Like, say you stick a wee wig on him and a wee like one of them shirts caught with a fucking fluffy stuff on it.
I think what would happen, I would probably have to grow the hair out a wee bit, shave the beard, and I just have to do Rick Astley. Because Paddy McDonald used to slag me about Rick Astley years ago.
He actually,
but he didn't know who Rick. Paddy used to like not remember. He knows what he's trying to say, but he doesn't remember the name. Yeah. He's like, "You look like you're fucking, never gonna give you." I'm like, Rick Astley. No, not him. He goes, "No, it's definitely Rick Astley." Yeah. So yeah, I do Rick Astley.
You called it. I'm only saying that.
I'd work out the shit dance moves. I've even got the dimples and all under the beard, so I'd need trim the beard off, spike the hair. I'll go full.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. That's a good shout.
And it's a brilliant tune too.
Yeah, I say you just go full Prince for some reason. Why not just go for Prince?
Just because that's blackface, Justin, and that's not okay.
Just black wig, you'd be alright. But sure, Robert Downey Jr. did it. It's alright. If Iron Man can do it, we can do it.
It was 2011, different times. Less you can get away with these days.
I know, but I always think about who could like pull off ones. Obviously, Shane could do a good Pet Shop Boys.
He does that impression.
Yeah, he never shuts up about it.
Because he does that, and he does James Blunt. And I was like, that's the same impression.
And it literally is.
Stop letting on that you've learned 2 impressions. It's the same voice.
Yeah, it's do Pete Butterbean. It's just
does he sing?
He's not singing, but we'll just do a good Tyson Fury.
Fair. Trying to think if there's anybody else can do it. No, I mean, there's the guys are probably. I'm sure everybody has their own.
Yeah.
Because every comedian will have that when you get on stage to get a crowd on stage. You're like, I know what you're thinking. I look like it, and that's always a good one to settle in because you're making fun of yourself, so the crowd know you're a bit of crack and you're not going to be mean.
I know.
So I always think it's funny when people go up and they like slag somebody in the audience and then they get heckled and lose their mind. I'm like, you started that. Yeah. That was literally your own fault.
You can't finish, can't you?
Yeah.
I know. It's mental though, but I had another question here because while I think of another one for other people, that was a good sentence, wasn't it?
Never gonna give you up. Never gonna. I'm just gonna buy time for him while he's looking at his phone. No, run around.
Worst and favourite stand-up experiences, Ronan Diamond asks.
Worst and favourite?
Yeah.
Well, those weren't at the same time.
Yeah. It's the same time.
Worst stand-up experience? I think for probably doing stand-up as long as I have, I've either blanked them out or there's so many.
Like a childhood trauma.
I can't pick a favourite, not favourite.
Yeah, mine was, I'll say it straight up, mine was Kiwis. I hated that. And it wasn't because it was a bad gig. It was about 120 people in. It was a table of 80 people were block booked for Christmas do from drinking from 12 o'clock that day. And
so just like one business having their night out?
Yeah, and it near felt like a corporate,
Did you get pre-warned about that? Were you told?
Found out after. Like whenever.
You're like, why did everybody hate my life?
Yeah, and the only person laughing the whole way through it was Naomi Mitchell. Like I could, what usually when
Naomi's a fucking led. She's a cheerleader. Like
she's definitely like she's Northern Ireland comedy's mascot. Like
she's our liaison.
Yeah, she always keeps the podcasts up.
Yeah, I'm like Naomi's our fucking press secretary.
She does admin for comedy here.
She's great.
Yeah, you want a gig booked? Just make sure she's liking your posts. That's it.
Exactly.
That's how you know when you've made it, when Naomi, like you're starting to make it into the scene more,
Nah, when Naomi's on your Patreon, I don't even have a Patreon, but I would hope, Naomi, we're mates. I hope you're fucking on me here about it. No, there's best and worst. Best was probably I got to open for Paddy McDonald in the Waterfront, which was a really nice experience.
That was
and I'm doing. He's been sound enough that I hopefully did a good enough job that he has me doing the SSE with him. So yeah. So one of those ones where it was one of those we were sort of sitting in the back, and it's Paddy's show, and it's a big deal. So when you're opening for somebody, it's the same as MC, and just do your wee bit and fucking get them pumped. Yeah. And I was sitting in the back, and I was like, because we both kind of started around the same time, we used to like sit in my house after eating kebabs, talking about how the gig went when you'd done like 7 minutes. Yeah. And I'm just like, mate, you're doing the fucking Waterfront. This is wild. Yeah. So that my own shows over at the festivals in Australia were great. Because people are just buying tickets on the basis that you're Irish. They have no idea.
Oh yeah, they're just hoping for the best with it. Yeah.
Myself and he's another comedian from Bestbrook, but he didn't start till he moved to Australia. A guy called Sean Quinn, a mate of mine.
Right.
We did a show called The Good, the Bad, and the Sunburnt, which was like a split show because we both only really had a half an hour each. Yeah. And we advertised the gig.
That's the name of this episode. I'm sorry. Just
the Good, the Bad, and the Sunburnt. Yeah. we advertised the show as basically 2 Irish guys' experiences in Australia. Yeah. And there's a newspaper called the Adelaide Advertiser, which is the one you want the big review of. Yeah. And they came and reviewed us, but they gave us 2 stars. So our show, The Good, the Bad, and the Sunburnt, a story about 2 guys' experiences in Australia, was reviewed as 2 out of 5, very funny, but it was just 2 Irish guys talking about their experiences in Australia. I'm like, that's exactly what we said we were going to do.
So, yeah.
How can you mark us down for being totally true to the advertising?
Maybe that was like a tribute, you know, like maybe that was like you know, we'll say what it was in the thing, you know.
But it was one of those ones where I was like, I thought it went really well. Like, the whole run was great, and we sold a bunch of tickets, and then I was like, but then I was going, nah, I don't really care, because we got some other reviews and they were really nice, and I was like, oh, that's cool. But then it was just kind of going, we're not relying on reviews because we already sold them out, so it doesn't matter. Exactly. Why am I giving a shit about this?
That's unreal. That's something I'd love to do at some point in the next few years, hopefully. But again, it's just hoping this kicks off. But I say my best experience. This is how like little it is compared to it. You know, like was either my first Sunflower, the first one I did. That was pretty much the gig that kept me going. You know, like whenever.
How did you on with this before? Were you on a bad run?
Yeah, at the start, first 6 months I couldn't get a laugh, you know, and then I did my first Sunflower. You were nice enough to let me on. It was like Kieran Bartlett and all in the lineup, Andrew Ryan, you know, and that was very intense, you know, for someone who had just been doing shit the whole way through. Every gig I was doing was a PAV gig, and it was a dodgy PAV full of hipsters and all, and I was like, this is terrible. Then I did the first Sunflower and I went, I'm gonna keep doing this. This is good.
But that's the thing that ups your game as well. I say to everybody, it's like, I mean, coming from a musical background, if you want to get better, I mean, when you're playing in a band with your mates, go and play with people that are better than you, and you're like, I have to be better.
Exactly. Yeah.
So whenever I like, because I would host Lavery's and I host my own show, and I'm like, I'm gigging with the fucking the top drawer boys. So you have to be up there.
Yeah, you have to sort of pull the socks up a wee bit for it.
Yeah,
definitely. Like that was one that I went, right, fucking, that was the first one as well where I like came off stage being like, that was a good reaction, because it was just the Sunflower crowd who are phenomenal every time, you know.
I think one of the good things with Sunflower now is I can get to a point where if there is a new act, I'm gonna tell them you're a new act,
exactly.
And then they're like, give the kid a chance.
Exactly, yeah.
Because if I said this guy's been gigging for 20 years, you're like, this better be good.
This is going to be.
Whereas I'm like, look here, be sound. This is this person's 3rd or 4th gig or whatever.
I know. I was in between Andrew Ryan and Kieran Bartlett as well. It was hectic for me, so it wasn't really like that vibe. But like again, it was like the first 6 months I couldn't like. I was doing every gig and nothing was landing at all. And then I did take on board the whole writing on stage thing and trusting myself to be funny. Because again, I was going very scripted, and then I was pausing in between trying to think of what the next line was and all. Whereas like, and then in the last like 6 months, I've sort of just scrapped the whole script and just went, I'm a funny guy off it. Why don't I, you know, just let that lean into it and hope for the best, you know, and it has been working. You know, the odd gig, you'll like if it's a rowdy crowd or whatever, the joke goes over their head, you're like whatever, but a lot of the time it does just, you know, like get the premise and just run with it and see where you go with it. It might relate to someone in the crowd, or if the MC said something about someone and you can go, that relates to my joke, you know, like you can sort of stick that in more.
That shows a bit of skill where you're actually paying attention. There's nothing worse than if you see when people show up late or something, and then they're like talking to somebody who somebody's talked to.
Exactly,
like, you need to be there to watch the whole gig. I'm always like, if you're only starting out, try and watch the whole gig. I know even people have worked good and stuff, but people are like, do their set and they go, I'm gonna head on. I'm like, no, you need to watch everybody. You need to stay and see different styles, see different how people are doing.
Exactly.
There's new acts come in now, and I see them, and I'm like, that's fucking class. And they're only doing it a couple of months.
There's a guy,
and trust yourself as well. There's a lot of people are like, oh, I'm no good at this after 4 months.
Yeah,
dude, I've been doing this fucking 12 years. You still die.
I know. Yeah.
I had this really depressing conversation with. You ever hear of a comedian called Jeff Green?
No.
He would have done like Nevermind the Buzzcocks in the 90s and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He lives in Melbourne now, and he was
standing
stage at a gig I was doing in a comedy club in Perth, and I looked over and I was like, oh, Jeff Green's watching your set. And then, but I came off after, and he was like, I'm doing this show called 30. It's about my 30 years of stand up, and I was like, dude, what's it like? And I was like, you've 30 years in. I was like, what's it like to just like fucking destroy all the time? And he was like, what are you talking about? I was like, obviously you just get up and, you know, just do it. And he was like, I die all the time. He's like, I still go and do 7 minutes at an open mic and just go on my arse. And I was like, oh no, I thought I would get to a point where this is just easy.
Yeah, where like you're veteran and you're seasoned, and
but you're never. That's the scary bit.
Yeah, that like I've luckily you guys are sort of paving the way for us to be like that. So we've sort of, you know, if you have any sort of ambition in it whatsoever, you do realize that whenever like you're telling us, you're like, oh no, you still die 10 years in, and we're like, right, okay, you know, so that gig wasn't that bad then, you know, like I'll go back up and do it again tomorrow. But it's it is a weird feeling, like, because again, for 6 months I was just like, mate, why is nothing landing? I did my first 10-minute set was in the PAV, and I couldn't, like, my stomach's rumbling, that's so hanging. It's wild, but good to bad and
Smells
hungover.
not well.
I did I first ever 10-minute set I did. I tried all new material because it was the PAV, and I was like, I thought you constantly need to be writing new material, so I was like, just stick anything you can together. Not one laugh. It was a whole bit about how, how I found out I hate English people, and I was like, half this crowd's probably English right now. So,
Yeah.
and that's when, again, you only learn from the bad gigs, and I went, don't do that. Don't sound angry. Don't sound like, if you're going to sound angry, make sure it's about yourself and it's not about, you're not punching down on anyone. So, again, that's just learning from that. But I think it was because I had so many dates coming up to it that just it clicked with me, and I went, it's easier to do it this way, and there's certain ways you can die, and you can pull it off. If a certain joke, I do it a lot though. You said to me as well, and William tells me off all the time for it. Where whenever a joke doesn't land, I'll go, I'm scrapping that, and I say that 3 times throughout a set, and I'm like, fuck, I need to stop doing that. And I don't know, it's just like a. Like a one in the chamber sort of thing, but it gets a laugh, so I'm like, it's not that bad, but obviously
you'll get away with it once, and then people realize, all right, fucking come on.
Yeah, they're like, tell some fucking actual funny shit. Yeah, but it's weird that way.
But look, you make those mistakes when a lot of us started, there was no basis of, because there was no scene before, you're just going by what other people are telling you. So I did my first gig 7 minutes.
Really? Yeah.
And then I did my second gig, a completely different 7 minutes. Because I didn't know. Somebody was like, it's called a routine.
Yeah, exactly.
You can do it. And I was like, oh, right. And I was like, and now thinking back they're like, that's mental.
Yeah.
Bands play songs and then play the same song the next night.
I know, you're not
expecting. I was like, that's fucking ridiculous. Where did I think that from?
That's crazy. You're not
so I was like, oh, the first gig went okay. Second gig died my hole. And then I didn't get on stage for about 3 months.
Yeah.
But that happens. You'll see people have 10 great gigs, 1 bad one, and they're like, I quit.
Exactly.
So that, I was like, the dates, I was explaining to somebody, I was like, if you're having a good run, I'm like, I'm mostly passable, I can get all right. And then your brain's going, it's coming.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it never happens. It's never when you're, I'm doing a gig and there's 20 people here, this will be the death. It's not that. It's always like, I'm doing a gig here and there's fucking 80 people and I've died. I'm like, shit, have I done?
Yeah, there's it was my October, November, I was like, that's when I really got into it. I was doing 3 gigs a week. Yeah. And I was really every gig I was coming off going, I did really well there. That's for at my level, that was really good. And there wasn't any data or anywhere. There wasn't any, I didn't trip over myself. I did a bit of crowd work, blah, blah, blah. October, November, just killing it. Did the Lavery's gig. It went quite well. I was for the first Lavery's, I was gigging with yourself, Gaddis, Paddy McDonald, Craig Moran and all. And it was I'm like, this is the big leagues now, coming into it. And I was shit myself about it. Went well, and I went, fuck, I maybe I am good at this, maybe I'm actually feeling well about this. And then after that came up to Christmas. Every gig was just drunk and rowdy, and I hated comedy the whole way through that.
There's a whole thing about it where it's you can't be too hard on yourself, because look, fucking life happens.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of factors in comedy you can't control. You only know what you're going to say, and how people take it, that's up to them. The other thing as well is don't be too hard on yourself. Don't think you've done fucking great all the time.
Exactly.
Because then you have no gauge. Yeah. Then you get that delusion of fuck, I'm really good at this. And you're mate, you're passable.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's that whole thing of you need to fucking fly in the middle and be I can do better.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be shit to myself.
Exactly, yeah. That was how, after Christmas, I felt that. So, coming into January, February, I was exactly that feeling. I was like, right, don't beat yourself up, but don't stay humble about it, if
but I've seen one of those ones where I've had it where I've seen comedians talking and they're like, oh yeah, I fucking killed that gig. I'm like, I was emceeing that gig and you fucking did it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, you did well. I come off no matter what, and I'm just like, Grant can do better.
Yeah, I know. That's literally, but
enjoy the good gig, but also be like, right, because the next one, it's around the corner. It's on your own fault. The worst deaths I've had, when you're talking about good and bad experiences, I can't pinpoint the exact gig, but I know that the worst death was one of those ones where I went in and I looked at the room and my brain went, this is going to be grand. Yeah. And I made no mental preparation at all. I walked out on stage and I fucking died so hard, and it was totally my fault. Yeah. Because I was cocky. And then I was like, right, that's the universe being like,
with it. Yeah, exactly.
Sit down.
The wee toe up the hole, as my granddad's neighbour would say. He was a weird man. I was thinking about this the other day, so I just off on a tangent. He used to come up, like every time we would just be out, he was just this old fella. He was that kind of guy who, if you moved out, he was so shifty. If you moved out of your house, you hadn't even locked the door yet, and he had stole the pipes out of the roof.
Fair enough.
Like metal. And every time he would threaten us, he'd be like, "I'll put my toe up your hole." And like, as I get older, I'm like Christmas, I was in my granny's house, and he was like, "I'll put my toe up your hole," and I was like, I'm an adult now. I was it's gay now. I was like, it's kind of weird now.
I'll break your hip hole, man.
I was like,
get away from me.
I'll hold you above my head like a snooker cue, mate.
Yeah,
Like,
have you stairs I can throw you down? Pick a window, you're leaving. Yeah.
And it would always be so threatening. But yeah, sorry, that was a bit of a tangent. It just came into my head there.
Perfectly fine. At least he wasn't at any gigs for it.
He would fucking humble you, alright? Oh shit! Real Lurgan man, real thoroughbred. Like, you know, he's never went past like Rush Me Roundabout, sort of like, you know.
Yeah.
He's never been further than like Moira, you know.
That's only because his angle tag would be.
Exactly. Yeah. But
fucking step butt.
I swear to God, he was a shifty character. Anything you needed, he was like, you know, they'd be like, "Oh, I want one of them like furnaces, you know, the ones with like the wee chimney on it, and like, you know, you can put it in your like shed or whatever." And he'd be all, "I'll get you one." And then like, you know, you would hear your next door neighbour complain, "I lost the fucking furnace there, so did." And you're like, "I just came into one, so."
Yeah, for 30 quid.
Yeah. Like, they're 800 quid on Amazon. Like,
yeah, that man bought me the bones of Shergar for £50. Unreal. Like,
he found DB Cooper.
Yeah.
You know, like, he's mental that way, but yeah, just going back onto the stand-up thing. Yeah, so there is ups and downs in it, but the Christmas for me was absolutely whack. It was just terrible. It was like going into, you know, like it was my first like real Christmas time, you know, so I didn't expect the drunk rowdy crowds.
Oh yeah.
And then just every gig the whole way through, it was just people like, and it wasn't even good hackles, you know.
That's those ones where you're out the back stretching before you go on.
Exactly, yeah. And you're like, oh right, say
wee quad stretch, a couple of hour squats.
Yeah.
Get
and
the blood going.
That Kiwis one, that was again, class gig itself, as in like the room's unreal. Gary Pollock runs a great gig. He's great MCing at it. The lineup was brilliant. The guy who runs like the brewery in it or whatever, he said he was a fan of the podcast and he was looking after us so much. He was like bringing out free pizza and all, free like
very
food.
Nice.
And like I was like, I'm, you know, don't like cheese that much, so he was like, "I'll get you a burger, mate, don't even worry." And he was like running out and he was like, "Put all your drinks in the bar tab and all," and it looked after really well. It was just like, as soon as I walked in, I seen Mark McKearney on stage, dying on his hole, and I went, "Oh fuck, McKearney's dying." I was like, yeah, no one's gonna do well tonight.
Yeah, they put the shits up you if you see some of your like, that guy's a stone cold killer. That girl, that's, and then you go out and you go, shit.
Then like McKearney was down his hole. Jordan Robinson had to say "fuck up" 3 times. He had to go, "Would just fuck up," you know. And I was like, "Oh shit, Jordan's pissed off there." Like,
so they're just on their work do, and you happen to be there talking in the corner. That's not a gig. That's a work do, and you're there.
You're just noise in the background.
That's Davey, who runs the social committee. He's like, "I love stand up." Yeah. And 4 other people in the office of 80 people love stand-up. Yeah. So we're going to stand-up for the Christmas day.
He's like, you know, 3 of us have seen Shane Todd's Tea With Me clips on TikTok. We're going to stand-up. That's sort of what it's like, yeah.
So,
but and then Rory Woods killed. It was weird. Like, we all died in our hole, like horrific deaths. I had one of like the worst death to date, bar like my second ever POV, and I was just like, fuck this. I came off stage. Paddy McYackey died in his hole as well. And like, when you see Paddy McYackey getting angry, that's when there's an issue, you know, because I've never seen that man without a smile on his face.
No,
like,
Paddy's the nicest man in the world. So I'm kind of getting PTSD, and I wasn't at that gig. Yeah, just from you talking about it.
Yeah, and it was just sitting there after, and Rory Woods comes off and he goes, "I was good," and I went, "Fuck you." I was like, that's terrible. I didn't even get paid for that gig either. I was like,
no, you have those where, look, it's fucking boot camp where you're like, oh, this looks really nice. There's loads of ones. Yeah. Sometimes you go in and you go, oh shit, this looks fucking tight going. Like I think we throw a lot of people who come down to do McCooey's, my gig in Uri, because when you come in and the lights are all on and they're like, what the fuck, this is a and you go, this is a cafe. Yeah. And then lights go down, spotlight comes on, and the PA goes, and I go, oh no, this is actually a really nice atmosphere.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's that mix.
And you never hear a bad word about that McCooey's one either. That's another one that's like a boiler room sunflower kind of gig where everyone like comes out of it and goes, that was unreal. I love that. That was like
it's just nice to do. It's one of those ones where it's probably very similar to here, where like it's where I'm from, so it's in Uri, and people people in Newry are very down in the place, and a lot of people will slag it off. And I'm like, well, let's do something good then. Let's have something positive in the place.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'm like, this is on, and it's great crack, and yeah, it's a bring your own in true small town style.
Yeah, that's perfect. Like,
yeah, do you want to bring a carrot to my mate's cafe, and we'll have that sounds class. And then that's why we sell it.
And then especially like you're bringing in big names to do that as well. You know, you'll bring in like.
Now I get to a point where people are asking to do it, which is fucking great.
Yeah,
because then I'm not chasing people being like, "Come on, trust me," because acts talk, and you know a good gig and you know a bad gig.
Like we were, because obviously here would be rural to either side of the country. You know, here is like the centre. You know, like even like you know Newry's like near the border. You know, Belfast is over there, and Derry's up there, and you know, like they're all. Sort of they have their own scenes, whereas Craigavon has fuck all for 40 minutes in either direction, you know. So me and Pete were talking about maybe like sorting something out. If he's doing a solo show, I'll not give away any details of it, but he's like if it goes well, because we believe that everyone has always warned us about gigging in Lurgan. Everyone, you know, who did it 10 years ago, and they're like, Lurgan is going to be terrible, it's all this. But I think there's a lot more tolerance for comedy now. I think like the Gaddis and the Todds and all, they brought in like a new wave of fan. You know, like it's not going to be the scumbag in the corner of the bar anymore. I think it's going to be comedy fans coming in to see it.
Here's the weird one, and one of the ones I said, and if it is possible to do it, absolutely utilise it. Where we are in Newry, I see the people, our gig holds 50 people.
Yeah. There's
40,000 people in the Newry area.
Exactly.
We don't need 40,000 people. We need 50 sound people.
50 good
That's
like,
it.
comedy fans.
If you had... Craigavon, Portadown and Lurgan are all in a taxi ride of each other.
Yeah,
you find a gig somewhere central that won't be seen as sectarian.
I know.
That's finding that venue. You're like, what's the middle ground here?
Yeah.
And then put that on, and if you can get 50 people to 100 people who are great crack, there's no reason you can't have a good gig. And we need more gigs outside Belfast.
Oh, 100%, yeah. Like a reoccurring one would be good, you know, not just like a one-off one where you're like, oh, that was shite, we're not doing that again, you know.
Once a month, find the place for it, trial it for 3 months, and if it's the same thing, do it 3 times. If it's not flying, what can you do?
And every guy like owns a bar around here's quite kind of sound as well. There's one room out by Silverwood there that I was looking into, but I don't know how, because there's a stage and all in it, and it fits about 50-60 people.
Lovely.
And I was like, that's because they do music and stuff in it, but it is a brewery, and I had never heard of it before, but I forget the name of it now. I'm just sounding like a dick. But like I was like, if we could get that,
I put in it. That's a really we investigated that for not for a comedy gig. I was with a mate. He was on with doing music on it.
Yeah,
but it's really, really nice.
Oh really? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like, so I was looking into that because a guy I work with is like really good mates with a guy who owns it. So I was like, give him my number, you know.
That's an in, and that will be a crowd who have to specifically travel to the venue.
That's what
so
I mean.
you will attract people who want to go.
It's not a centre of the town thing where people are just going to go, there's something happening here. Yeah. 8 quid, here you go. You know, and you know, like a Sunday night gig or something, you know, where people have to go out of their way for it, so that would be perfect. But that's what I mean, there's nothing in this direction, you know. Again, it's 40 minutes either way for anything, you know, so
the only thing to do is you just have to put it on yourself then.
Yeah, so
this is what I ended up doing, where I was like, right, people aren't going to do it for us, let's stick it on.
Yeah, and if I'm like again, I would probably, if I'm any good at MCing, I would probably just do that myself, save a bit of money, you know. So
I mean, from this all comes from same again my musical background. I learned to do sound engineering because it would save money running gigs.
Yeah,
I would be quite literally sitting with a sound desk and my drum kit, and I could mix well. That's mental to do that.
Yeah,
but learn to do that. So the same thing. I think I learned to MC to cut costs to run a gig.
100%.
Like when I do the Sunflower, people are like, I get on stage and people are like, the wee guy was taking the tickets is doing. I'm like, yeah, I do everything. And I set up at the start, and
you not hear me turn the music down at the start as well, running around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I turn the music on and start running, ladies and gentlemen, please sprint to the stage.
It's good crack, like, but it definitely would be something I would love to do, because it would give someone like everyone a middle ground, you know, for. You know, you don't have to go up north for it. You don't have to go down to Newry. You don't have to go to... So if you're from any sort of direction around here, like... Again, well, I suppose Oma is quite close to here. That's probably the closer one, but again, it's half an hour, you know.
Here's what's mental about any regional town. Craigavon, Portadown, Newry especially as well.
Yeah.
It's changing the attitude, right? Here's the hard thing. You say, I have a gig on here, and I'm putting Mickey Bartlett in it, and he's going to do a gig, and it's a tenner in, and it's in, say, Craigavon. And people are like... Not fucking going to that. Yeah. Those same people will pay £20 to drive to Belfast to see Mickey in the waterfront. And I'm like, I'm putting it on your doorstep. What do you want here? So, and then people complain there's nothing in the town. You put stuff on, they don't go. Fuck those people.
Exactly.
I was like, you complain and you give off shit about where you live and do nothing to make it better.
That's crazy. Like, Like
So-
definitely, like even whenever I took my mum to go see Mickey. She'd never seen any Northern Irish stand up, so I was like, I'll take her to like one where it's going to be a fucking killer.
Yep.
And took her to see Mickey in it was the Armagh Hotel or something, Armagh City Hotel, and Mickey, he said he died in his hole at it. He murdered. The room was shaking like it was erupting, but he hated it because there was like 2 or 3 hecklers in it, and people on their phone and stuff. But I was looking around and I was like, half of these cunts live around my street. I was like, half of this room right now, I know, like, they're all live in Lurgan and live in Portadown and stuff. So I was
But
like,
they've got a £15 taxi to Armagh.
I was like, how, what, like, you can't, like, they're obviously comedy fans lingering about, So, and obviously there is. I see, like, on Instagram and all, anyone who, like, used to go to my school and all, you see them, like, posting photos of them at, like, I've said, like, 400 times there. They're posting photos at, like, She and Todd's live podcasts and stuff, and they're all sharing Kieran Bartlett's clips and stuff, and you're like, obviously people do like stand-up comedy here.
There's a market for it, yeah.
Yeah, there is. So I feel like like people are more tolerant of it now, so I feel like Lurgan won't be as dodgy, because you do hear the horror stories of like the Haggerty run gigs.
Haggerty is still in therapy for this.
Yeah. And like Mickey and Kieran Bartlett all refusing to just ever come through this town again. They know Mickey lives in it, but yeah, no, it's crazy that way. But I think we're actually hitting like an hour and 10 there, so I don't know if you've anywhere to be or.
Oh, I'm going to record another one now at 1 o'clock. But
Jesus, are you?
I'm enjoying the chat, man. It's nice to.
Yeah.
Here's the thing as well. User hectic listeners, if he hasn't organised a gig in 6 months, online bully him, because he's there's a lot of big talk here while he's dying of a hangover. This is like when you're chatting shit about what you're going to do when you're steaming, and then you go, what was I on about?
Mate, listen, we could we could put this all together and it would be unreal, and then the next day you're like, fuck, why did I even say that?
2024, we're climbing Everest, mate. 2 more pints, please, barman.
Jameson and Coke, please. Mate, I'm telling you, Singapore, right?
I have a contact there if you want to get.
I nearly said something racist there. Holy fuck! Anyway,
that's fine.
I'll hold that in. But have you anything you want to plug coming up? I know you're doing a podcast at the minute with Jordan Robinson.
Yes, Injury Time is back sporadically whenever we have time, because fucking the two of us. Jordan is the busiest man in comedy. He's flat out. So we do a wee sports history podcast.
Yeah, sports history. The Jordan Robinson. There's multiple of him. You ever watched What Happened to Monday? And they're like 7 tuplets.
Okay.
They're all named Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because they live in this weird dystopian world where you're only allowed to have one child, like China, and like there's another racist, and they're not allowed. They're only allowed out on Monday. Their name is Monday, and one of them, like so on and so forth, and one of them goes missing. And I was like, well, this is just a movie. But I think Jordan Robinson is like that because he's at every gig constantly all the time. Like, there could be 3 gigs going on in one night and he's at all 3 of them. You'll see him at some point in them. So he's magic, like,
I was chatting to Jordy there the other day because he was doing a big run in Dublin. Yeah. And I was like, are you staying down? He was like, no, I'm driving up and down every day. He was there like 4 nights in a row, and I was like, dude, I used to work in Dublin 5 days a week, and I hated that.
Yeah,
fair play to
you.
That is nuts, but it's just too dear to stay in Dublin. But no, I'm doing that with Jordan. I run Sunflower once a month. I run the Panic Station Comedy Club in Newry once a month. Follow me for all these details. Yeah, and then this year, I am currently in the planning of doing 2 shows in 2 days.
In 2 days, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to bring back. I think I'm going to bring back Fight and Fit because I only did it once and I really enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to bring back Beer Tasting with a Comedian.
Yes.
Which is the other show I did, which was it's just fucking great fun.
Yeah.
And there's drink.
Have you a time frame for those yet? Or?
I think it's like the first weekend in August. So one's a Saturday, one's a Sunday. The Beer Tasting's on the Sunday. The show's going to be on the Saturday. And at the minute we're looking at Deer's Head in Belfast. Oh, so I will get all that up. The summer I've run gigs before. Really nice venue. Yeah. And it'll be a full weekend of me. Sorry.
A full weekend with DARREN Matthews.
Yeah.
That's my Tinder bio. Yeah, but other than that, like just keep listening to the podcast. You're also doing, is that Shy Talk History one?
That's the 3rd of March. I'm not sure if this will be out before then. So
what date is it? Oh, it might not be. Wait. 26th of February. It might be. This might be out on.
It's next Friday.
Next week.
Yeah.
All right.
Friday coming.
Yeah, my head's racked. Yeah, it'll be out before then, definitely.
Cool. Shy Talking Irish History podcast live in the Sunflower Bar. I think there might only be about 15-20 left, so get on that.
Yeah, that's
gonna be good fun.
Jason Brannon and
Kevin Larney.
Yeah, they're soundest guys on the planet.
Jason's up the night. We're gonna watch the football final and then go down to the Sunflower for delicious Beamish.
I know. Shout out him. shout out Ro Boyle as well, because he looked after me well on Thursday there, so I just want to shout out him as well. But yeah, so Portside in gigs this week, so we probably won't be able to buy tickets for that yet. Other than that,
where is the Portside Inn?
North Belfast.
Okay.
Yeah, so hoping for the best with it. The only thing though, I need to bring a speaker, so I'm like, need to source that.
Just one speaker?
Yeah, well, just depend. There's 40 tickets sold already.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and
I'd recommend 2 speakers.
Yeah, 2 then. Yeah, right. Okay. Sorry. I think there's Kieran Franco gave me the contact for a guy who does it for like 40 quid. So I was like, probably not gonna make any money off this gig, but
that's worth it.
Everyone else is paid, which I'm happy about. So yeah, but yeah, fuck that. So yeah, listen to Injury Time podcast with Jordan Robinson and Darren Matthews, and Shite Talk History is the 3rd of March, you said, yeah?
Yes, Friday night in the Sunflower Bar.
And that's be it. So thank you very much for coming on. This is means a lot to me, because obviously, as I said, your gig was one of the ones that kept me going through comedy, so I really appreciate you coming on.
Okay, do I get a beanie for showing up, and then we'll get some sort of doppelganger photo?
This should be something for actually I will do that for the
user hectic beanie.
Yeah, here there's a user hectic hot upstairs actually. As wacky as that sounds, there's a pillow, there's cups. What do you want? You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
Yeah, we need our own whiskey now. But yeah, as I said, thank you for coming on. We'll just wrap it up at that. So thank you very much for listening. Take it easy. Fuck it.